Okay, let's begin with a sound check and maybe a little talk about who is there, what we have going on in the rooms here in Tempe.
Hi, this is Elsie Moore, and we're in the Carson Ballroom at Tempe campus.
Thank you. West?
Hi, we're here at the West Campus, and we have a full room in La Sala Ballroom.
Polytechnic?
Hi, I'm Keith Hollinger. I'm standing in for Melanie Fitz. She's the president, but she wasn't able to be here today. And we have a really good turnout this time. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And downtown Phoenix?
Hi, this is Donna Cataldo, and we're in the PBS studio in the Cronkite building. We're enjoying some wonderful food and drinks. Thank you.
Could you please repeat that? We're having a little difficulty with the sound.
Hi, this is Donna Cataldo. We're at the PBS building in the Cronkite, or PBS studio in the Cronkite building. We're enjoying some great food and drinks.
Thank you, Donna. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the 2016 Fall Academic Assembly. I am Kathy Puckett, the President of the University Senate and Chair of the University Academic Council. I'm from the Polytechnic campus and an Associate Professor in the Mary Lou Fulton Teachers College. And it's just great to see this crowd here, and it's great to see our campuses so active again, and to see the members of the Assembly from Poly, from downtown, from West, as well as here in Tempe. We're indeed fortunate that our profession affords us the opportunity to experience renewal at the beginning of each year. This beginning is also a time to celebrate our accomplishments. As we are all aware, we are part of a vibrant, world-class university that is cutting edge as well as inclusive. Our leadership and our faculty involvement has propelled us to where we are today. One university, the #1 university for innovation, with a mission of student success that is defined by who we include, not who we exclude. Much of this success has come from the fact that Dr. Crow and his leadership team are surrounded by people who can get the job done. You, the academic assembly, the faculty and academic professionals who are the heart of ASU. And my message to you is it's essential that faculty remain involved in continuing to frame this enterprise. At ASU, we have the benefits of being big, with the advantages of personalized programs and organizational structures that maximize our voices. A vibrant and engaged faculty perspective ensures that we maintain our educational core, especially in the face of rapid change. Without a frontline faculty perspective, it is too easy to lose our way, to take on a business model that is good for some, but not for all of us. This structure works because we work together. My goal is to encourage the faculty to become more involved in shared governance. The way to do this is through engagement. Talk to your senators in your unit. Learn about the issues that are before the Senate. This is the front line on how we work together. Take a lesson learned from this year's political season. It is not necessarily the majority who rules. It is the majority of those who show up, who make their voices heard, and who get engaged. As we advance this great enterprise called ASU, I would like to recognize you, the academic assembly, for your commitment, dedication, productivity, and willingness to focus your talent on the success of our students. Thank you to Provost Searle for hosting this delightful reception on all 4 campuses. And with that said, I turn the podium over to someone who needs no introduction, the 16th President of Arizona State University, Dr. Michael Crow.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much to all of you here in Tempe, as well as throughout the university on each of our academic campuses for being a part of, and I was saying this to someone just yesterday, someone says, like, why is it interesting working at a university? And I'm like, I feel sorry for you that you've constructed that question, because it's hard to privilege that each of us or have the chance to work here have been given. So we're at this sort of leading edge of human understanding of our species across basically all of the areas of knowledge or creativity, enterprise that beings have thought up to this point. We're adding to that, contributing to that, transferring that, commenting on it, synthesizing, working to make things happen, and we get to do that in a way where to travel and see things with their own eyes, work not just in the field, but connect to other cultures, other places, other peoples, other ideas. This is a place where ideas can still be freely exchanged, and occasionally, when that's maybe not happening as freely as we would like, we then have a conversation about it, and we find a way to work that out and work that through. And it's just an unbelievable institution as a type of institution to be involved in. And then this particular institution, with the students that we have here and the things that we're doing and the way that we're helping to shape the world. And I'm not using this in a cliche mode. I'm not a person that spends a lot of time thinking about all of this verbal storm that we're surrounded by. This verbal, I don't even want to call it discourse. I think that would be an inappropriate use of the word. I'll just call it verbal storm. Here, I'd like to think, and I know it's the case, that we bring discipline to discussion. We bring fact-based exchange as a rule of engagement. We bring open and free discourse, respectful engagement, respect of every person, regardless of their background, their life choices, whatever it is. I mean, we're just, we're happy to have you here. If you want to be a part of a teaching, learning, and discovery and creativity enterprise, we're happy to have you here. You are welcome to be a part of all this. Wouldn't it be fantastic if we could find a way where our discourse could move in that direction more broadly? And I feel that we're capable of and able to positively influence that. You may not realize this, but the more that we do, the more capable individuals that we empower, the more master learners that we produce. I can just tell you that there's only one way to defeat ignorance. It must be defeated by replacing it with some form of insight, wisdom, perspective, knowledge, or what have you. There's no other way. You can't wish it away. You can't hope that it goes away. You can't turn it off. You must defeat it. And so we're in the ignorance defeating business. So a little bit about that business, which is why I feel energized every day to make things happen. I'm going to talk a little bit in a second about where we are, which I think is the first time I'll ever be able to say where we are in this exact way, even though you've heard hints of this. Talk a little bit about some things that are going on, but before that, I just want to put a few numbers on the table so you can sort of see how we're doing. Not quite, but almost 12,000 full immersion on-campus freshmen. Largest freshman class, I think this is right from Arizona, the students in that class from Arizona. Of the students from Arizona, 50% are minority students. There's about 7,000 of the freshmen, give or take, that are from Arizona. 3,500 freshmen from Arizona are students of color. We've never had anything like that before. The institution's never attained these levels of diversity. More than 45%, I think that's the right number, Mark, of the whole freshman class. 44%, so just under 45%. I was opposite. It's a fantastic achievement that we actually have an ethnically diverse, socioeconomically diverse, highly geographically diverse representation of the United States and a few other countries in our, dozens of other countries in our freshman class, more than 100 countries in our entire student body. But this is just a fantastic thing. 12,000, give or take, 12,000 families whose children have arrived here, late adolescents have arrived here to be a part of us. And remember, always remember, that many of them have bet the farm on being a part of us. And this class is representative of, regardless of what you might be hearing in the national discourse, the actual America, the actual trajectory of America, the actual dream of the American design, which was a place where people actually had liberty and equality, where they actually had access to social advancement, where they actually had access and ability to move forward with their lives and live their lives the way that they wanted to live them. And so I say that because we have a job. You can pay attention to all that other stuff out there, everything else that's going on, but we have a job. Just that one group of new students, 12,000 or so new freshmen showing up, 17, 18 years old, betting the farm on their relationship with us across all of the disciplines that the university represents. And that is an unbelievable responsibility that we have. Our one problem with our incoming first-time, full-time freshmen is getting them through the freshman year above the 90% level. And we're approaching that level. We've made huge progress. I think we're just under 85% for the total freshman class. I think just above 87% for the students from Arizona, to give you some sense of where we are. This is from the lower 70th percents in the not-too-distant past, and the 50% in the past right before that. So this is a huge metamorphosis for this institution. But I ask you just to imagine, I was in the room the other day. They didn't all show up. There were 10,200 freshmen in the room. A room. We have a room that holds 14,000 called Wells Fargo. So 10,000 plus freshmen are in this room, all wearing gold shirts, all organized by college, unbelievable energy. You can just see it. It's like this pulsating energy of these kids from everywhere, everywhere. And you get a sense of the responsibility when you look at them. And they've traveled from down the street and across the world to be here with us. And so I don't really care what's going on outside of the institution's boundaries, so long as we're focusing our energy on these kids. Now, over the academic year, we'll also get more than 10,000 transfer students from community colleges coming in. Last year, we graduated just over 20,000 people with ASU degrees. 20,000 new folks going out. In fact, we've graduated in the last few years. We're now approaching 200,000 graduates, approaching half the university's graduates in the last 10 or 11, 12 years over its entire history. And so we're really, I think, having an impact. Another number I think that's worth noting, not because of the number itself, but because of what it represents, is that we have record numbers this year, as we have had every year the last 14 years, but this year also. $510 million will be our research expenditure number. $510 million. That's without a medical school. That's just a handful of schools are operating at that level. That's an unbelievable achievement. We're seeing that throughout the social sciences, the humanities, the life sciences, the physical sciences, the arts, everywhere throughout the institution. Tremendous activity by the faculty. Tremendous proposals and winning and winning and winning. New funding sources. The number of sources of funding for our work have doubled. The number of sources have doubled. We now have, and this is no joke, this has even been surprising to me, we now have foundations visiting us and funding us after the visit, before we write a proposal. We like that. And if anyone out there in the foundation world is listening, come on down. We need more of that. $215 million was raised, a record fundraising year from private philanthropy, and that's in the top 30 of all universities, and that's in the top handful of universities, again, without medical schools. medical school universities have the ability to have very grateful patients and very important hospitals that need lots of investment. We don't have either of those, and so that's a great outcome. 135 new tenure and tenure-track faculty are on board, give or take one or two, and so we think that's a great achievement. And so from a numbers perspective, students coming in, diversity, faculty diversity, where were we, Mark, on faculty diversity? 30% faculty of color, of new hires, which is a high number for us at ASU. It's higher than almost any other university. What? 22% overall within the faculty ranks itself. And so on our numbers, we're doing very well on our numbers. Now, record fundraising, record research, record students, a little bit about enrollment, which is going to segue into my next comment. And so this is the mindset that I really want to make sure that I don't get out too far ahead of the faculty. So that's never very productive for a university president or chancellor because it always ends up in the same place. See you later. Not you all, me. There's been a few of those cases going on around the United States over the summer, and it's worthwhile to pay attention to those. So here's where we are. So we're now a faculty and a staff operating in 3 very significant educational spaces. We have about 72 to 73,000 full immersion on-campus technology-enhanced learners on all of our academic campuses. That's a number of enrollment of that, but it's spread out. It's a small number, 73,000. That's smaller than the enrollment on all the campuses of the University of Texas. It's smaller than the enrollment on all of the campuses of Purdue University. It's smaller than the enrollment on the campuses of the University of California. It's smaller than the enrollment on all of the campuses of the University of Minnesota. But those campuses are often spread out, and ours just happen to be close enough together that we're able to operate them as a single university without a system structure. So we're often criticized for being big. Like, well, big compared to who? Compared to what? Compared to the need? Compared to the responsibility? Or just compared to what you think that a university should be, that we should be like Princeton and have a few undergraduates and a lot of graduate students and, you know, live in this beautiful little town in central New Jersey and be able to take the train into New York City to go out to dinner. No, we don't live there, and that's not our responsibility. We have a different responsibility. We're actually responsible for, like, a big social scale set of outcomes. And so in doing that, if we just stop there with what we're presently achieving, we're doing fantastically well in terms of improvement and actual outcomes in 4-year graduation rates. We admit A and B students, and I think it's fair to say, no one's corrected me yet, of those research universities that still admit A and B students, most of them admit only A students. We're outperforming them all in our 4-year graduation rates. And so that's really important to note. So we're doing really well in that realm, and technology has been a big part of it, the way the faculty are working, the structure, and so forth. So we could just fold up all of our concerns and say we're doing really well with those 72,000 students. But that isn't where we stopped. So we have about 25,000 students in addition, no duplicates, in our digital immersion online technology-enhanced learning environment in about 140 or so degree programs. And just process that. Same faculty, not every faculty, but many departments, many schools, same faculty, now teaching in 2 realms. This has been particularly fantastic in the humanities, where we see large numbers of new majors in history and philosophy and other areas of the humanities, fantastic engagement across the humanities. And so it's a way in which our faculty now are reaching 2 groups of people. They're meeting the classic come live with us undergraduate and graduate student. And then they're now also able to deal with people who are a little bit older, whose lives have moved forward, who need to find a way to fulfill a dream, to become a philosophy aware person, for instance, a person driven by ideas. Imagine all the people out there that you never thought of, that wanted to have a life built around ideas, and that for whatever reason, all of you, everyone in this room, was able to go to college over and over and over in most of your cases. Including me. I mean, it's like my dad, what are you going to be, like 40 years old before you get out of college? And so he thought the whole thing was all the same. I said, no, Dad, I'm moving up in certain levels. How can I tell? You're still not making any money. And so we have found a way to reach students who didn't finish college, students who never were able to go to college but have the same dreams and the same aspirations, and to plug into another thing that's happening, which is a world that has shifted under our feet, where education, which is viewed as an early in life thing, is now being viewed as a total life thing. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, it turns out that we have a pioneering faculty. 72,000 full immersion on-campus students, 25,000 full immersion online students. But now we're operating in another realm. Anybody here, has anybody here done a Global Freshman Academy class? So Dwayne Roan has done one. Dwayne, what was your class? First year, so Professor Roan, who's also Dean, has taught a first-year composition class, and the English faculty is probably saying, well, they're all on drugs. And so you might not have heard on the other campuses that Professor Roan's first-year composition class in the Global Freshman Academy had 35,000 registrants. Professor Timmy's Astronomy 111 class has had more than 30,000 registrants. We have an adaptive math class to teach in a different way, in an interactive way. This is the third realm we're now operating in, a way to teach college algebra in an adaptive format, which is getting several times the level, several times. That means 2 to 3 times the number of students are mastering that course. And if you can master college algebra, you're not going to have any difficulty with the complex parts of probability in the social sciences, or you're not going to have any difficulty moving forward in more technical areas. You're also going to have this basic fundamental concept of algebra, not for the sake of algebra, but for the sake of understanding how to solve for unknowns. I don't know how many students we have in that class in its first, approaching 50,000. Now, this university and this faculty are now operating in these 3 realms. One realm, all these students that you see that live with us, they're here with us. You see them every day. They're from all over the planet. Unbelievable energy being brought here with us. 11,000 of them receive a check from us, not for financial aid. Many more than 11,000 get financial aid support. About 80% of the undergraduates get financial aid support. That would be almost 50,000 get financial aid support. 11,000 of them actually work with us for some kind of compensation. So just think about that, put that to the side. So of those 72,000 full immersion students, our faculty has built a world in which we are achieving at or beyond the level of any other similarly positioned institution and continuing to accelerate in our outcomes. We then have the 25,000 online students in our degree programs, which increased 30% this year over last year. 30%. Because of the quality of our programs, the quality of our faculty, the quality of our methods. And then, oh, by the way, on the side, a couple 100,000 people taking courses. I think this is true. One of them was a 12-year-old kid from Peru who now has credits from ASU in astronomy, right? I don't know where this kid lived in Peru, how they found us, where they found us, whatever they found us. A woman who dropped out of college decades ago, regretted it every day of her life, had something like this old buddy of mine when I was a freshman. By the time he finally left at the end of his freshman year, his grade point was 0.8. This guy was smarter than me, He was majoring in something he was clueless about and just went ahead and took the beatings. And so his life was altered. I did not have a .8 at the end of my freshman year. He had a .8, so he was gone and never finished college. But this woman, likewise, she was gone and never finished college, and now her life is different. She has always regretted not getting the college degree, and I think it's fair to say, Mark, that we just admitted her. Is that correct? We admitted her not on her .8 grade point that she received when she was 18 years old, but on the fact that she got an A in 4 Global Freshman Academy ASU classes. We admitted her based on that. You get 4 A's or 3 A's and a B in an ASU group of classes taught by our faculty members. I don't actually care what your high school grade point is. See what I'm saying? And so now we're operating in these 3 realms. These 3 realms are now allowing us, and this will be my last comment, to think about things in a completely different way. A few months ago, Jim O'Brien, who's the Senior Vice President of the University for University Affairs, and myself were in Washington, and we were meeting with the ambassadors of the following countries for dinner: Egypt, Algeria, Morocco, Indonesia, Turkey, Oman, Jordan, Palestine, I think United Arab Emirates. Did I say Indonesia? Indonesia. So you get a sense that these are large countries. That's approaching several hundred million people, highly concentrated countries in the Islamic world. And we were talking about issues and stresses and strains and problems and all the things that their countries are attempting to achieve. And one of the ambassadors said, how can you help with millions of refugees from the war-torn areas of the Middle East who are separated from their families and their structures? We can't find any university that's got any means to project. Based on those discussions and other discussions that we've had, I'm now telling you that this university has the capacity to design, build, and deploy a humanitarian, high-speed, deployable educational network that from high school through college can take millions of students at one time and engage them in the continuation of their education until such time as their families can be put back into a stable setting. Now, how many of you would want nothing to do with anything like that? You'd all want to be a part of an institution that figured out somehow how to do that. Through our faculty, through our technical support, through our teams, through our fundraisers, through our designers, through our architects, through our international affairs staff, through the people that we have working for us in Washington, because we want to make sure that people understand that, yes, you can come here for a great education. Yes, you can come here for a great immersion education at Arizona State University, but that isn't all we do. We do that in a fantastic way across a great cross-section of our society, but we also can do these other things because we decided to allow innovation to be a funny concept that could actually be integrated into the way the university works. So if I have one thing to say to you all on the faculty and the support staff is thank you for being willing to be creative, to be innovative, to be powerful, to be engaged, to be socially responsible, to actually care about the outcome of the world at least as much as you care about your journal articles. I don't mean that in a facetious way. It's just, you can care about more than one thing. And so we have figured out how to do that. And we're making progress on that every single day in ways that I think make the name of this institution mean something. More than just another university. And so I want to thank you for that, and I'll stop my comments there and just see if there's any comments or questions. So thank you.
We'd like to take some comments and questions, and I'd like to be campuses that are not here in Tempe.
Okay.
That's all right?
Sure.
Let's see. Let me begin with downtown Phoenix. Donna Cataldo, does your group have a question for Dr. Crow?
Hi, Kathy. Yes, we do have a question for Dr. Crow. We're wondering, Dr. Crow, how does the downtown Phoenix campus fit your vision in ASU as an emerging national and maybe international scale university?
Okay, well, first, we operate the university as one university in many places. It's kind of a catchphrase we came up with a few years ago. And the point of that is that, you know, yes, the downtown campus is 9 miles away from where I'm sitting right now. It could be 1 block away, meaning to me, at least in my mindset, where it's located is not as important as what it's doing, and the fact that it's located somewhere else and able to do those things there, well, that's fantastic. So downtown Phoenix, we just opened, for those of you that haven't had a chance to see it, the Buse Center for Law and Society, which is now housing the Sandra Day O'Connor Law School, the ASU Alumni Law Group, a number of legal aid centers, a number of research centers, an outward-facing law library, a series of public event spaces, all in this fantastic facility. So now in downtown Phoenix, we have that through our partnership with the City of Phoenix, and more than $50 million of philanthropy that we raised. We never, in the entire previous 45 years of the law school's history, $20 million was raised. In the last 3 years, we've raised $52 million for the law school. In a time when everybody's writing law schools off. I don't know who those fools are that are thinking that, but they certainly are fools. And so downtown Phoenix campus is essential to the university's mission, essential to our success. All of the schools there are growing and prospering. We're looking at the additional residence halls we need to build there. We're looking at additional facilities. There's a fantastic idea that we can send to the faculty if you'd like to see it, called the Central Idea, which is a project about taking the downtown university district and linking it with the downtown art district and combining them in a way where they're a unified, physically linked district through shading and facilities and programs. And so we're working on that idea now. And so we see this as a fantastic opportunity. It's also the case in downtown Phoenix. We've found great space for the School of the Art and its studio spaces in the Grant building. We've got other things that we're looking at in downtown Phoenix, other relationships, partnerships, thousands of interactions, internships, engagements. Most of you know that we own and operate the KAAT public television station. We also run out of downtown Phoenix the Walter Cronkite News Service called Cronkite News, with news bureaus fully staffed in Washington, D.C. and Los Angeles now as we speak, and fantastic projects that they're working on. So if you take all these things together, and I'm not mentioning everything, you know, our presence is significant. We have a 7-acre site that we're looking to do a advanced research park on in downtown Phoenix. We're looking to expand the work and the energy. In fact, if you're associated with the nutrition school, you should pay attention to this, because the last few days I've been on a nutrition school terror. How do we move that school forward, invest more in that school, make things happen, build more research facilities because of its importance to the overall success of our society. And so downtown Phoenix campus is fantastic. I mean, there's none of the campuses that are secondary campuses. There's none of the campuses that are branch campuses. This is important for new faculty. We don't have any branch campuses. We don't have a main campus, and we don't have branch campuses. This isn't the University of Washington, Ohio State, Purdue, the University of Minnesota, where they have main campuses and branch campuses. We did away with that logic because that logic is not reflective of the fact that we're looking at all of the faculty and all of the students to be a part of a single university advancing on the kinds of things that we're advancing on.
Thank you. Keith at Polytechnic, do you have a question for Dr. Crow?
Question, but I did want to make an observation to support what was discussed earlier. So I had an opportunity to go to the Chromebook today, and the activities that our students are engaging in are significant. They are reaching the globe, the entire country, and it's very impressive. In the last couple of years, the students at this campus have grown significantly as a body of people. So I wanted to say thank you to all of our faculty, because everyone in this room has played a big role in making that happen.
Okay. Sounds great. I'll just say that to Keith's point that our students, it's almost beyond belief. You know, we had teams winning against 5,000 other teams in contests. We have students all over the planet. So many, you have to worry about, what's going on in different parts of the world, and what's happening, and where are our students, and where are they positioned, and how are they deployed, and all the things that are happening. So that part of ASU on all of our campuses has become a big deal. This global engagement, global connection. ASU now has offices or project offices in Ho Chi Minh City, in the Republic of Vietnam. We have project offices in mainland China. We have project offices. We have a project office in Moscow, Dubai, Geneva. We have a project office in Islamabad, Pakistan now, with work that a team of ASU faculty are working on in Islamabad. Collaborations, very significant collaborations, including officers that are moving back and forth to stimulate new research activity between DCU, Dublin City University, and they couldn't, they could stay in the European Union, and so they're in Dublin, obviously, which is going to become a really hot place with UK leaving the Union, and then also Ben Gurion University in the Negev Desert in Beersheba, Israel. So those are all things that are going on right now. All projects. We have joint seed-funded projects with the Autonomous National University of Mexico in Mexico City, both in the Sustainability Initiative and also seed projects with the Mayo Clinic, 3 of which are very large scales. Seed projects with Tec de Monterrey, seed projects with Ben Gurion University, seed projects now between University of New South Wales in Sydney, Australia, and King's College London. The launching of the Plus Alliance, which will be headquartered in London with ASU staff there. So all these things are all going on at the same time.
Alejandra at West, does your faculty have a question?
Yes. So one thing in observations that we are really excited to see the growth on the West Campus that we've seen this year. And we would like to know a little bit more about how the Pathway program is going, and if there are any plans where it could be perhaps expanded to Latin American students in the future.
So Alejandro, that's a fantastic question. First, we have secured a sufficient investment from private philanthropy to advance now a whole new building for the Herberger Academy for Young Scholars, which is based on the West Campus, which is for a series of profoundly gifted students, very ultra-high IQ. I think one of our valedictorians from that last year was 13 years old, and he had to wait a year before he could go to MIT because they won't let you in until you're 14. I said, okay. And so, so that building will be built. And then in terms of the program, the Pathways program that you mentioned, we doubled up on what we thought we were going to achieve this year. It's not going to be limited to certain countries. It's going to be expanded, and so we're looking to grow that program. So it's been very successful. I think we have about 90 new students, 98 new students, Provost Searle is telling me, in that program. And we're very happy with Julia Rosen's work as she is running our global launch program and is working to bring these students in. And so that's a program that we're looking to grow, including in Latin America. And Julia speaks English, Hebrew, Spanish, and Portuguese, and so she's very skilled in leading that program for us.
Thank you. Elsie Moore is the president of the Tempe campus.
I do not have a question, but perhaps someone in the audience has a question. Celine Ostapov.
President Emeritus.
There it is some time ago. There's a lot of talk recently about open access for research, open access publications, and also open access pedagogical materials. Can you tell me if ASU is interested or is looking into being involved in open access?
I can give you my own view, then I can give you sort of the state of play. And I don't know if University librarian Jim O'Donnell is still here, but I saw him earlier. Jim may want to comment on this also. In general, I think the more open, the better for all things, so long as that does not precipitate misuse by individuals who have no idea what they're looking at, or disruption to the research process itself, or and what I mean by misuse, which is people drawing conclusions from something that the people that are developing the data wouldn't draw the conclusion, but someone else is drawing the conclusion who doesn't even know the design of the project, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a complex thing. And so I think one of the things that we've got is we have a slow and cumbersome publication process in academia outside of physics and a few other disciplines which move more quickly. And so we need to improve everything to make data more readily available, more broadly in our society. I will say that we have to be careful what we wish for sometimes, because there are complexities to our society where data, facts, other kinds of things can be misconstrued in ways in which you may not want to deal with the outcomes of that misuse. Jim, would you like to comment? So Jim is university librarian, former provost at Georgetown, distinguished scholar in many, many, many complicated things, including paganism.
Hush. I'll do a short commercial for a task force that was being kicked off this morning under the leadership of the Faculty Senate. We will be working this year on a policy for open access for faculty at ASU to provide incentives, information, understanding, and technical facilities to make it easier to make ASU's work more accessible, but equally important, better known and more accessible. If it's out there on the net and nobody knows it's there, it doesn't exist. So we have to make progress on both. But there's a very good first meeting this morning. You'll be hearing from us.
And then, Jim, what's happening nationally? I know there's some moves, Helene is probably alluding to these, in Congress and other places where there's a lot of people talking about this. There's a lot of fighting going on heavily in the biological and health-related sciences right now. This is where a lot of this is coming from.
Well, many federal agencies are already mandating, and comparable agencies overseas are mandating some form of open publication, maybe not at the time of journal publication, but 6 months or a year or 2 years later, to make material that's been paid for by public funds as widely available as possible.
Right. So everybody knows that the U.S. government this year will spend more than $150 billion on research. And there are people that pay that bill that say, well, I'd like to see the results of that research, not just the filtered results of that research. I'd like to see the lab results. I'd like to see what it means. And so I'm like, okay, great. But we have to figure out how to do that, how to manage that, how to make all of that happen. So that an adequate answer to a complicated question? Okay. It's your meeting. I await your instructions.
I thank you very much for
Thank you.
speaking with us today, and please enjoy the rest of the food and camaraderie. Thank you.